Annoying at all.
Okay, every Monday, Matt Katanick, Sam Pepper, and I, the producers of the show, and myself, guess the lines together. And I consider myself pretty good at that game. I was 4 points off, which is an enormous amount. I figured it'd be Chicago by 1. Because it's in Chicago, because they have the same record, because the Cowboys haven't played they have played one complete football game since week 3. It was the game against Philly. That even though Chicago's been disappointing, they actually have won 3 of their last 5, while the Cowboys have lost 3 of their, or won 3 of the last 4, I should say, while the Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4. But I know the public likes the Cowboys. Cowboys have more talent, so I figured the Bears wouldn't be the full 3-point home favorites you typically are. But to see Dallas, what this is saying is if this game were in Dallas, Dallas be 8 or 9 point favorites. Get out of here. What evidence do we have that the Cowboys are better than the Bears other than preseason power rankings? But by the way, the Bears were pretty strongly considered preseason power rankings.
They were some people's Super Bowl favorites.
Right, based on how they had done at the end of how they did throughout last season up until the playoffs. So, no, I don't think the Cowboys deserve to be favored. No, I don't think that the right team is favored in this game. And I think this is one of the rare times where I think Vegas has it wrong.
Well, here's where I use your argument against you. I mean, you talked about how the Dallas Cowboys are a supremely talented team that's been underachieving for the most part this season. In all but one game, they've been favorited. They're favorited tonight. It's a situation where I think that Vegas recognizes that the Cowboys, from a talent standpoint, have quality players at premium positions. You look at the quarterback, you look at offensive line, you look at wide receiver, you look at running back, you look at pass rusher. Those are all positions that are important toward being able to win in the NFL. When you look at the Chicago Bears, the biggest question is, who is Mitch Trubisky?
Right.
We don't know.
Unfortunately, I think we might know. I think there.
Well, we might know, but the answer is a negative. It's not the answer in the affirmative, and that's the problem with that team. I'm not going to be fooled by 2 wins over the Lions and a win over the New York Giants. Both of those teams are in the bottom half of the league defensively. So I don't think that the win streak that we're seeing the Bears on, that 3 out of 4, is a legit win streak, because I remember that Sunday night game out in L.A., when they benched Mitch Trubisky. They tried to hide it and say it was an injury.
He was a little hurt.
But that wasn't the case. He was playing poorly in that game, and the Rams have been a better defense this year in comparison to the 2 years prior. But, I mean, I look at the Dallas Cowboys. To me, the key for them in this game is not turning over the football. I mean, if you hold on to the football, I think you're in much better shape to be able to win this game. Don't give that Chicago Bears offense any life by giving them extra possessions in short fields. I think if they starve that Bears offense and they make them put together 8, 10, 12-play drives, I don't have a lot of confidence that Mitch Trubisky can move that team up and down the field.
Nick, is there anything you could see from the Cowboys tonight to make you change your perception of who they really are at this point in the season against this Bears team? Nothing.
No. I mean, they could win, by the way. Listen, I think the Bears are going to win. But to be clear, even if the Cowboys win, no, you're not going to all of a sudden say, oh, the real Cowboys have arrived. The real Cowboys have been here all year long. They are an average to slightly below average NFL team. The Bears do have one thing on their resume the Cowboys don't. One at least high-quality win. The Bears did go and beat Minnesota once already this season. The Cowboys have done nothing like that. If the Cowboys win tonight, it's their best win of the year. But by the way, if they win, the Bears fall to below 500, so they'll still not have a win over a team at 500 or above. So I also think that while we look at the Cowboys as a team that, despite how bad they've been, has some margin of error because of the division, given the Vikings' loss this past week, this Monday night, the Bears and the Rams both have to feel like maybe we're still alive in this thing. That if the Vikings fall apart, if the Vikings, because we looked at it a couple weeks ago, or I looked at it as, we know the 5 NFC playoff teams are going to be Packers, Vikings, Saints, Seahawks, Niners, and then the NFC East.
The only thing to be determined is the order.
The order and the NFC East winner. The Vikings falling the way they did this past weekend when they lost to Kansas City, when Kansas City had its backup quarterback, it opened things up a bit to where they're 8-4, the Rams are 7-5, the Bears are 6 6-6, that if the Vikings go from 8-3 to 9-7, could that playoff spot come available? So I don't think the Bears are in we're just on to next season mode, even if they should be.
No.
I think they are still preaching we are still in this, we can get hot at the right time. And your point about turnovers, Canty, is exactly right, which is why I feel like even if Dak's been better than Zeke this year, if the Cowboys are going to win, it's got to be through Zeke, because Dak, as well as he's played, he's turned the ball over at a higher rate than he even turned it over in his bad seasons. And I think that Zeke is much less likely to give the Bears a short field to work with, which is what you're talking about, that they need to score.
No, they absolutely do. But in looking at the Cowboys situation, I mean, if they win that Week 16 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles in one more win, then they're going to be the team that represents the NFC East in the playoffs. So it's a strange position for them to be in, because
they don't have to have it.
Because they don't have to have it. That's the thing. But in terms of what's going on around that team and all the noise surrounding their head coach, I think this win would go a long ways into quieting a lot of that. Because right now, I mean, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, the whole conversation around the team is about everything except the execution on the field. And so, you know, I hear Dak Prescott.
That's where the conversation should be right now, if they want to refocus.
And that's where it should be. And Dak Prescott talked about it this week. He said, we've done a lot of talking, and talk is cheap.
Yep.
We have to focus on actually going out there and executing and being productive and putting ourselves in situations where we can win games rather than finding ways to lose games. And so when you have a talented team going on the road against Chicago, who would seemingly be a quality opponent, this is an opportunity for you on a national stage to answer some serious questions about who your team is and what you want your 2019 season to be about. A season that started off with championship aspirations. You can put yourself in a really good position going into the last month of the season, getting a quality win on the road.
What do you want to see from the Cowboys besides not turning the ball over? Maybe get Amari Cooper involved. You haven't seen much of him. See more from the run game. Is there one thing that you're looking for tonight?
Maybe I'm odd in this. Looking at it differently. This is not, the Cowboys are not in a position where they should be, or we should be discussing how we'd like them to look in victory. Get a damn win. Just win the game like that. There are no style points to be had at this point. Like, for example, last week, the Packers played the Giants. Packers had just lost to the Niners. The Giants are a bad team. Packers are a good team. All wins are not created equal there. Had they squeaked out that win against the Giants, it doesn't feel great. You wanted to see them dominate as they did in the second half. The Cowboys would take a 52-yard Brett Maher field goal at the gun to win by 1 and just escape. Because the reality for Dallas is this. Since week 3, they are 3-6. Those wins involve a game against Detroit, a bad Detroit team. That's a 6-point game midway through the 4th. A win against the Giants, an awful Giant team. That's a 5-point game midway through the 4th. They have had one excellent start-to-finish game since the 3rd week of the season. The game against Philly, which is the key moment of their season, really, because it gives them that tiebreaker. It's why they lock up this division if they beat Philly and only win one other game. So if you're a Cowboys fan, what do you want to see? Man, what you, I guess, want to see is not a reason for Jason Garrett to be fired Friday morning, which a 3rd straight loss would be exactly that.
All right, much more on this coming up. But on the other side, the reason why Nick Wright was a very happy man last night. How wide is the gap between the Lakers and the rest of the NBA?
Played last night, Canty?
That is next on FS1.
Oh, was it against another cupcake, like home game against Charlotte or something? Since week 3, they are 3-6.